That's pretty special. What an incredible conference. And what I also want to say is how wonderful it is. I know people are Zooming or WebExing or however they're watching this, but also to all be together, right? Can we give ourselves a round of applause? Isn't it nice to be together after all this time? I love it. I love being with everybody. And actually, that leads me to a question. I'm going to share a lot of things up here, but the first part of this, I want to interact with you. So I hope you aren't shy, because I'm going to need some of you to shout some things out. Is that okay? Okay, so when I talk to, I talk to all different groups from corporate America down to kindergarten. And when I ask kindergartners a question, they're like, me. So I'm going to see how you all do, okay? No pressure. But during this time of us now being together, which is so special, the last couple years have been a little different, right? We've kind of learned new things that maybe we like and we enjoy doing. During COVID, I started to realize, you know what? I love hiking. I love swimming. I love playing with my new puppy, Coco. I don't know if you saw me walking around here with her. I'm a little bit of a dog fanatic, but I just started to find, I started cooking all these different things that fill my tank. Because one of the things I've learned on this journey is that no matter where we are, if we're not taking care of ourselves, nothing else really matters. So I want to ask all of you, what do you do to take care of yourself? And what do you do to fill your tank? So normally I do this and we're all online and people are writing in the chat, but I'm going to ask you to shout it out, raise your hand and shout it out. What are some things that you do that take care of yourself and you fill your tank with? Yes. Go to Mass and pray. Thank you. Awesome. What else? Meditate. Yes, you can shout out. Yes. Massages, right? I give it up for massages. What else do you all do? Or things that you found that you started to do during these last couple years? Yes. Reading. I love that. Reading is really good. I love it. Some people have wait, what? Play music. Now, when you play music, are you dancing too? Okay. No, I'm just playing it. Don't ask me to dance now. Okay. Awesome. One more. What's something else that you've done that really fills your tank? Long walks. Yes. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone. Because when we do any kind of work, take on new things, be a leader, really be powerful within our communities, if we're not taking care of ourselves, it doesn't really matter. So I want to task you all to really think about these things that you love to do. At least do them once a week, one of them once a week, even if you're really, really busy. And I have to remind myself the same thing because sometimes I go nonstop. So anyway, I just wanted to connect with all of you because we're going to be talking about community and what really builds a powerful community and definitions of community. So I want to read this to you. A group of people, so what is community? Living in the same place or having a particular characteristic in common, a feeling of fellowship with others as a result of sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals. So how I'm going to share with you today is I'm going to take you through a story. And one of the ways that people share about information all around the world is through storytelling. So I'm going to take you on a journey. Are you ready for this? From West Virginia to West Africa. Crazy, right? What do those two have in common? So I'm going to take you from West Virginia to West Africa through pictures and storytelling and share with you about what I've learned powerfully about leadership, community, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and really what it takes to be powerful communicators to lift each other. So I'm going to start from the beginning. So I was adopted, yes, this is me, 3 days after my first birthday by Dr. Jim and Judy Culberson. So that's my dad looking kind of like a fabulous hippie. He really wasn't a hippie, but kind of looking like a fabulous hippie. I'm a little nervous and a little scared. I'm like, who is this new person with this big bushy beard? I'm a little scared. My mom is taking this photo. This is Morgantown, West Virginia. And I have these two new sisters, my sister Laura, blonde hair, green eyes. My sister Lynn, Laura was 10, and my sister Lynn, dark hair, big glasses. She was 12. So here I am meeting this whole new family, and my parents want me to get to know my sisters, But my sisters want me to get to know everyone in the neighborhood. So my sisters yelled to all the neighborhood girls, come here, come here, come here, come here. You gotta see my little baby sister Sarah. You gotta see my little baby sister Sarah. So all the neighborhood girls come running and they sit in this circle. And Lynn is there in the denim jumpsuit with the big glasses. This is not her favorite photo, but I think it's fabulous. We won't tell Lynn. And Catherine Morgan is sitting there in the light blue t-shirt with navy around the edge. And she looks at my sister Lynn and she says, now wait a second. Is she black or does she just have a really good tan? I'm so glad you laughed. This is 3% African American in Morgantown, West Virginia, and a lot of the kids in the neighborhood hadn't seen very many kids of color. My sister Lynn said, this is my new little baby sister Sarah. She's part West African and part white American. And the girls go, oh, okay. So I'm getting to know the kids in the neighborhood, getting to know my little poodle that I grew up with, Benji. He had the same afro I had going on. He was like my little buddy. And I'm getting to know this whole family. Now, when my mom called her mother to tell her that I had been adopted, the call went a little bit like this. Mom, we adopted this new little girl, Sarah. I cannot wait to bring her home this summer so you can meet her. She's really cute. She's got all this curly hair. Lynn and Laura are having so much fun with this new little baby sister. Hello? Hello? And there was silence on the other end of the line. My grandmother said, Judy, I think adopting this black little girl into the family is only going to cause problems, and I don't want to talk to you about it. Click. And my grandmother hung up on my mom. Now, my mom, being about the amazing woman she always was, about 5'1", a little over 100 pounds, tiny, yet very mighty. My sisters and I would call her the grizzly bear. Do not mess with her children. So we all got in the car that summer. And my mom said, you know what? I'm tired of these assumptions that my mother's making, and I'm not going to deal with this. So everyone got in the car. My mom didn't like flying. So from West Virginia to Illinois, we drove 12 hours, mom, dad, Lynn, Laura, Benji the poodle, all the way to Litchfield, Illinois. And we drive up the windy road to the farmhouse where my mom grew up in this beautiful farm. So imagine for a second, if you can visualize this, off to one side are all the cows, and then right in front is a beautiful pond with these weeping willow trees. And then over here is the chicken coop, and then it feels like for miles there are cornfields. And then right here is the big, beautiful white farmhouse that my mom grew up in. So we drive up, we get out of the car, my mom's holding me, Lynn, Laura on both sides of my mom, my dad, Benji the dog, we all walk up to the farmhouse. My grandmother comes out of the door kind of screeches open. She walks out, her arms crossed. She looks at me, she looks away. Then she looks back at me and she says, can I hold her? And in that moment, my mom said I was breaking racial barriers within my own family. And why have perspective? Times are changing in such a vast way, and by opening ourselves up to what is around us and uplifting those voices, you give yourself the opportunities and the knowledge to become successful. These are some of the things that I started to learn from the tribe in Sierra Leone. And I started to learn about the different things that we come to as human beings because we're all human. So when I went to Sierra Leone, I came to get to know my family, and I brought all my assumptions to the table about my birth family in Sierra Leone. And you know, when we are getting to know new people, or maybe somebody who's different than us in different ways, we make these assumptions about each other. And what I have to say is I don't think assumptions are necessarily bad. I think assumptions are things that we can learn to ask questions about. So I brought my assumptions to the table, and I sat down with the chiefdom, and I started really to listen to learn, not listen to reply, because here I am in a whole new culture. So I noticed that I was sitting down with all the leaders in the community, mainly my family, other doctors, other lawyers, different leaders within the community, and they were all men. I was the only woman there. And that's what I started to notice, and I started to sit down and talk with everyone and really listen to learn about the community. I also had to listen and learn with compassion, because I have no idea what it's like to go through an 11-year civil war. They had completely different experiences than I do. And I think when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, right? When we bring our assumptions to the table, we really listen to learn, and we have compassion, that's when things can really grow and expand. Not only do we do that, but when we actually reiterate back what we heard people say. So I was sitting here with everyone in the chiefdom, all the leaders, and I said to them, you know, I have some questions. I'd like to go interview some of the students at the school. And I'd actually like to interview some of the women at the school and learn what's happening after this war. I'd also like to interview the amputees. These are actually people, that's the name of the community that lost their arms and legs during the war. They're called the amputee community, and they live in a certain area. And I said, I'd like to go and talk with them. So I decided to make sure that there were all these different diverse voices at the table, because what I realized is, as a chiefdom, as the leaders in the community, if we didn't have these other voices at the table, we're not going to really be able to serve everyone and really make a greater difference in our community, not just for our chiefdom of 70,000, but for the entire country. That's the way we were operating. So I sat down and I started talking with the amputees, and they said, well, a lot of us cannot work anymore because we lost our arms and legs. Is there a way that we could get some equipment that people could rent from us, and then we could actually make money that way? Could we also have some goats? And we started to learn about some of the needs of the amputees. The girls said, we drop out of school because we don't have access to pads and tampons because of our menstrual cycle. Now that's an uncomfortable conversation sometimes, but it was a reality that these young girls were dropping out of school, not getting the same education as other students because they were embarrassed by something that I don't think twice about living here in America. I was like, okay, I'm understanding my own privilege. Okay, I'm understanding my own assumptions. I just assumed everything was good with going to school, that's not a problem. No, it actually is a problem. So I started to bring, not just me, I started working with people in the community, and we all started to listen to these different diverse voices at the table. And we started to learn what was going on. And let me tell you, it was not comfortable. When you do DE&I work, or any kind of work around being a powerful leader, really communicating powerfully, it is not easy. And when you are uncomfortable, you are in the right place. I was talking with John, I won't say his last name, John at AT&T. He's the former CEO at AT&T. And he said to me, I know I'm in the right place when I'm uncomfortable. And I thought, wow. That's powerful. Because as human beings, I know for myself, I don't like being uncomfortable very often. But being in Sierra Leone, learning about another culture, sitting around, learning about these different situations that I didn't have to deal with was uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable in these new situations, specifically around diversity, equity, inclusion work, you are in the right place. You are in the right place and you are doing the right thing. One of the other things that I've learned on this journey is don't stop having the conversations, even if you are uncomfortable, right? I had to learn how to not stop having the conversations with my family in Sierra Leone. And I had to figure out, well, how are we going to make change together? How are we really going to work together to move things forward? And I could talk in this room as well. We've been through this 2 years of a lot of different changes, and you all have shared with me different things that you've learned that really fill your tank and that make you feel better. What are some ways to move things forward in a way that impact everybody? What's a way that you could work together as a community to forward all the work that you're doing?